It's like you've stolen them from some kid's lunchbox. Right. Hey, Facebook. Facebook's running. Nice. And YouTube is also running. Right. Okay, so you can all hear and see me on Zoom, Facebook. Hey, Rosie, I can see your comment. Good to see you again on Facebook. And then we have YouTube. Those on YouTube, can you just say hello, just so I know that the comments are working, and then we'll crack on. Right. Okay, so it's 12 o'clock. So like yesterday, we're going to do the same rules. We're going to be talking about billionaires, millionaires, spending money, waste of money. In fact, it's a bit of a broad topic because we actually talked about a lot of things yesterday. And I want to continue that sort of thread because we had Anita, who was very brave and shared her contrary thoughts to, I guess, what the majority here yesterday thought. So I want to probably start off on that and carry on. I saved the chat from yesterday. Hey, everyone on YouTube. Good, nice and working. Right. So where is that chat box? Here it is. Okay, so annoyingly, I just copied and pasted it all into a notepad and it's really hard to see. There's no punctuation or anything here. Okay, yeah, let's start. We'll have to watch the. Okay, I'm just trying to find what Anita said, and then we'll start off there. Oh yeah, okay. So basically, Anita, she said a few different things. I think the last point, which we didn't have a chance to go through, is that she said not everyone can get rich, or not everyone can do well for themselves, etc., etc. And then she talked about disabilities, etc. And I completely agree. I agree. So I would like to be more pedantic with my phraseology, perhaps, and I would like to say that if you don't have disabilities, okay, let's be really. So if you don't have disabilities and you live in the UK and you have access to the internet, you have no excuses. I think I'm covered all the bases there. I think so. Yeah. So if you have access to the internet, you don't have learning disabilities or just any disabilities whatsoever, then there's not many excuses. But of course, if you are in those categories, yeah, it's going to be incredibly hard. I mean, hell, like I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was thinking about disabilities, and I was like, touch wood, this doesn't happen because I value it immensely. But if I lost my eyesight, I mean, that's freaking huge. Like being blind is in my opinion probably one of the most limiting things that you can have, because yeah, you have access to the internet, but I can't see anything. I can't I guess I could watch YouTube, or listen to YouTube, but yeah, it would be really hard to then set up a business if you're blind. So I do have empathy for that, even though some people think I have no empathy. I do. Sometimes I just don't give a shit. No. But yeah. But does anyone have any thoughts? Any other things? Remember the rules. Don't hog the mic. Unmute yourself.
Hi, Simon.
Hey, Chris.
Hi. Yeah, just following on from, because I did actually think Anita was really good, actually. I don't agree with a lot of her points, but she came across really well, and she did come up with some good, certainly thinking points. And I was thinking a lot last night about what she said about billionaires hoarding or spending frivolously. They don't need to spend as much.
Yeah, that's the one.
And so I think to get to that point, most of the time, you need to be productive. You need to give people what they want.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it can be quite a good thing. certainly. So, like with the case of my boy and talking about disabilities as well, unfortunately, he lost his hearing. But with this new thing, they've got an implant. He's getting his hearing back thanks to that. Now, that would have cost, I don't even know how much to produce and to actually get to market. That would have been millions.
Yeah.
Now, if someone wants to buy a yacht who produced that, I've got no qualms about that at all, because it's given me my boy's hearing back.
Oh man.
And it's little things like that. Our life is easier now to the point where we don't really have to do anything. All of us in England anyway, or in the Western world. And that's all thanks to these billionaires and millionaires, because it takes a lot to produce things. Even from an idea to push it out there, it takes a lot. So our medical well-being, everything like that, has come off of the back of people that have invested a lot of money and time to get these products out to market.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
everything good in the world comes from money. So this is like literally everything good in the world comes from money. Healthcare, doctors, nurses, what is that? You need money. You need money for hospitals. You need money for R&D. And so this is why I have an issue with people saying money is the root of all evil. I think that's absolutely bullshit. It's said by people that really don't understand money. So, and I mean, there's lots of other sayings. It's the lack of money or is the root of all evil, or it's the want of money. There's all sorts of things. But look at every good thing on the planet. It's been financed by money and a millionaire or a billionaire. It's very few things financed by the government that have done good things. I know you probably think, the National Lottery, that's done a lot of good. But what you'll find is when governments do philanthropic type stuff, they do it in the worst freaking way. They give it to freaking like cancer research or the Red Cross or whatever. And then if you look at the percentage of the money that goes to these big fat they're basically corporations, these charities, very little of it goes to the actual cause. Just look at the HQs of every major charity. It's big old glass buildings, Bentleys in the parking slots, and it's nuts. My wife used to work for a very small charity. It was funded by the lottery, National Lottery. It was a really small thing, but guess what? The director was on 160k salary. His wife was on 130k salary. He just gave her some random bullshit job. The head of marketing was on 100k salary, which was their mate. And then they got another mate, which was on another big salary. And then there was Ellie doing the actual projects out, going out and helping people. And she was on like 20 grand a year. And I remember that they ran out of lottery funding one year. And they said, we're going to have to close up this charity now. We lost funding. And I think Ellie or one of the others said, well, why do we have this marketing guy on 100 grand a year? And we worked out, it was like, that's 2,000 extra people we could help on that salary. Why do you make him redundant and then help 2,000 other people? But in the end, they no. And so, so a lot of these charities are scams. They really, well, I can't say scam, but they're businesses. They're to line the pockets of the executives. And so, for example, I've said this probably in previous videos, the biggest eye opener for me is if you follow the money tells you everything. I don't care what people say. I care what people do. That's what you need to look at. Actions, not words or statements or whatever. And when you follow the money trail with a lot of these big charities, it is pretty much a scam. So you'll see these bucket people on the street. So here's an example. You'll see, sometimes there's a campaign and then you'll walk through the city centre and there's people banging the buckets or, going, hey, can you donate £1 to sponsor a child in Africa or whatever. And so let's say over a weekend across all of the towns, these bucket people have raised £1 million. And on the buckets will say 100% of all donations go to the charity. Well, they're not lying, but they've been very cheeky with financial engineering. Well, not even financial engineering. What happens is let's say it's cancer research. They'll send all £1 million to cancer research. So they've fulfilled their promise that all the money goes to cancer research. But those bucket people are a company. It's a marketing company. So what they then do is send an invoice to cancer research for, I don't know, 200 grand or 300 or whatever. So the £1 million goes over there. It's all VAT free, all tax free, obviously, because it's charity. And then the marketing company then invoices them for, I don't know, 200 grand. So straight away, 80% of the money goes to the charity. And then of that 80%, a huge chunk of it is sucked up by salaries, pointless salaries. So now, obviously, if you're running a big charity like that, you need to be, you need to be paid, because it is a lot of work to organize stuff. Like if you're running a big NGO, a non-governmental organization, and you're doing big projects, yeah, you need some clever people. But there's ways around that. And this is why crypto is great, because it just disintermediates all middlemen. And so eventually there's going to be like a compare the market, but for charities, and all funds will just be on a blockchain. So we can see where all the money goes. So, yeah. And then also a lot of these charities have back end, kickbacks from, providers or whatever. So, they may be like, hey, donate this money so we can build a town in Africa or Dakar or whatever. It then goes to a building company that makes shitloads, and the charity owners have a small stake in that building company. So they're making money off the back end. So like this, just follow the money. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just follow money trails. That is it. Anyway, we're going off the topic here, but going back to what Chris said, I completely agree, mate. It's billionaires that do that. And I do understand the sentiment that Anita said. Anita, you're here. Sweet. Good to see you. So yeah, we were basically we're saying that it was great that you with your thoughts yesterday. And I wrote down the word hoarding, and I do understand. I do. So I understand the sentiment that billionaires are hoarders and they have waged more money than, for hundreds of lifetimes, etc. And I do get that. And I do agree that a lot of billionaires should do more with their money. I do agree with that. And but sometimes the practical element is really hard. As I said, if a lot of billionaires are very cash poor, they're just stock rich, like Elon. He's got very little personal money. Whereas Bezos, he actually he nearly always has a few $100 million in cash or liquid assets, let's say. So he could actually just, do stuff. But as I said, if you then start disposing or giving away your shares for stuff, then that person is going to lose equity and then control. And then you can have a Steve Jobs moment where Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. Why? If he had a bit more shares of his own company, they couldn't do that to him. So that's one thing. The other thing, what was I trying to say? Hoarding. Yeah. But then everything's relative. I'm pretty sure someone in, I don't know, sub-Saharan Africa could look at you, Anita, and go, wait a minute, Anita, you're living in the UK. You have hot running water, food, the internet. I don't know what your personal finances are, but let's just say you're doing well and you're getting £1,000 per month clear after all your outgoings. Why aren't you putting that £1,000 a month into sponsoring my cousin or me or so to someone that's earning or living on less than $2 a day, you are a relative millionaire to them. But yeah, I agree with what you say. I mean, there are a lot of billionaires out there who do hoard, but then there are a lot of billionaires out there like Elon Musk who is different, and he's using his clout to do good shit. Just look at what Neuralink's going to do. Oh, in fact, Neuralink will solve most issues, most medical issues, that is. And what you'll see is that Neuralink will then also go into CRISPR eventually. I've followed Elon for years and I know what he does. He tweets stuff. He goes, should I do this? Should I do this? We could, in theory, we could do this. And what happens 5 or 10 years later, he's freaking doing it. So what he's been tweeting about a lot is, yeah, we've spent a fair bit of time looking at CRISPR and that, and looking at the genetic makeup, etc. And you can literally program anything. And he even said in an interview that technology won't be isn't far away, that you could literally recode your DNA and turn a human into a butterfly. He said that that's not make believe, that's not magic, that's science. and he's increasing the amount of times he's talking about genetics. So just wait. Neuralink and genetics, they're probably going to go hand in hand, just like Tesla and the Boring Company go hand in hand, and the Boring Company and Tesla and SpaceX, they go in hand with yeah. Anyway, moving on. So let's look at the comments. I want to get back to sharing your opinions and stuff. So again, if anyone wants to open your mic, just unmute yourself. Oh no. So again, Anita said that's why government should have the money, not individuals. Again, I massively disagree with that. We like thousands of years of empirical data have shown us that governments are useless at spending money. Like, just look at what the UK government has spent on all the COVID stuff, spending billions on a freaking Excel spreadsheet for the track and trace. And loads of stuff. Like, governments do not know how to spend money.
I have to agree with you there on recent history, but I just think there should be complete redistribution. And on the comparison with sub-Saharan Africa, yes, that's fine, and it's all relative. But I think if one of the big charities, I think it's Oxfam, regularly brings out statistics where they show that something like half the wealth in the whole world is owned by people that could fit on one bus. There's a statistic that comes out every year. That's not right. That's just not.
But that, again, that's share price. All that wealth is nearly all share price.
If it's share price, it's still the wealth of the world, and it's just wrong.
I agree that more can be done, but I think, yeah. So obviously none of us have the answers to any of this. This is what a debate is, I guess. And I just like it that we can have we can disagree on points and not turn into a Facebook hate thread, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
Which is good.
Can I just ask Anita?
Yeah, go for it, Chris.
Anita, hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering about the redistribution that you're saying, like the money should be redistributed evenly across the world, I assume.
Yeah, ideally, yeah.
But the problem is, personally, what I think is if you're redistributing wealth evenly across the world, there's a lot of people that don't know how to use the money and could actually get themselves in a lot deeper problems. So, for example, if you gave a drug addict money, they're going to kill themselves on drugs. You need knowledge. I personally think people chase wealth and need to chase knowledge.
Yeah.
I think my answer to that would be why does somebody take drugs? And this is a bigger question, but there's been studies. People take drugs because they're unhappy. Mm-hmm. And why are people unhappy? I mean, and I completely agree with Siam. If everybody had enough money, then everybody would be a lot happier. So, I'm a big fan of a UBI, and I think Siam is as well. I absolutely believe that everybody should have enough basic income all around the world. So we could eliminate so many problems if we just had a UBI.
It's definitely coming. UBI is coming, I think.
I do hope so.
100%. And so going back to your original statement of all wealth should be equal or equally distributed, etc. So in theory, that that's not a bad theory, and that's basically where socialism and communism sort of sprouted from. But look at the history. History does teach us a lot, and history has shown us that communism in theory seems quite good. In practice, it's an absolute shambles. I mean, I remember reading one book about communism that this was during the Cold War. They had a Russian attaché come to visit London, and they were showing him around London, etc. Because this is when during the Iron Curtain was up, and we were about to blow each other to smithereens. And anyway, diplomats came over, and they're walking through London, and they're like, "Why are there no queues for your food centers?" And they're like, "What do you mean, food centers and queues and stuff?" It was like, "Well, back in Moscow or wherever he was from, people would have to wait hours to collect their bread from the bread distribution shop, and then they'd have to go and wait an hour or two in line to collect their meat from the meat distribution center, etc." And then the UK guys are, well, no, these are just individuals running shops. And that was a prime example of, and then also because Soviet officials were really bad in logistics, what that meant was that they would, because the government was controlling the food supply, like people, like it was incredibly inefficient, incredibly, and there was huge wastage. So parts of the country died of thirst and hunger, whilst other parts had too much, but they couldn't get the food out properly. And then what this Soviet guy realized is that maybe capitalism does work, because if a business owner sets up a bakery and has competitive pricing, they'll get more custom, etc. And so I'm not articulating this very well, and I can't even remember the book I read. But what then happens with communism is that the government controls everything, and then bureaucrats become the new billionaires, because they're the ones that controlling all the world's wealth, or all the country's wealth. And so the rich poor divide doesn't change, it just flows into different hands. But yeah, I guess we can talk about this till the cows come home. But let's look at the other comments whilst we're here. Sam, on a household level, I see so much waste from the wealthy, as I've worked with in this for ages. Yeah, agreed. Government should be kept to a minimum. I agree. That's good old Austrian economic thinking there. You think the amount of money raised from charities over the vast years, poverty would be eradicated by now. Yeah, but there's no financial incentive to eradicate hunger and poverty. That's why it doesn't happen. It's usually individuals and governments that take the money here. Gaz has said, anyone else read or listened to Stephen Bartlett's book, Happy, Sexy Millionaire? It's awesome, and it's all about fulfillment and success. Nope, never read it, but cool. Rachel said, someone said, give a poor man $1, he'll spend it. Give a rich man $1, he'd make $2, in a manner of words, not literal quote. Yeah. Bijan, my uncle was a multimillionaire and he died of a drug overdose. Lol. Okay. Don't know if it's a lol, but yeah. I mean, that goes to show everyone has mental issues. Anyone can have mental issues. I mean, who is that celebrity? Is it Caroline Flack? She killed herself because of the online hate she got. Like, yeah, she was a millionaire. She had, very successful professional career, etc. But she still offed herself because, mental issues. But I don't want to really stray into the whole mental issue type of stuff. I want to try and keep this down to, I guess, more of the money stuff, because I'm genuinely fascinated with how people react to money and their thoughts about it all. So does anyone have any points they want to? I think it's going to be really boring if I just keep on reading off the chat. I know the Zoomers can read all the chat, but
I'll go for it if you fancy it.
Yeah, Aaron, go for it, mate.
Couple things. I think pure capitalism is the way to go. Keep government to an absolute minimum. The other thing is, you are a sum of your decisions you make day to day.
Word.
And there's no situational reason that makes you or puts you in a situation where you're less able to develop yourself than the next person. Someone might have a disability. We were talking about disabilities earlier. Why should dyslexia stop you from learning? There's a multitude of different formats on how to absorb information. It certainly hasn't stopped a lot of the billionaires we're talking about. As far as hoarding resources, without people at the top with these huge chains of companies, you can't develop the big products, a bit like what Chris was saying earlier. And as far as distributing wealth equally amongst everybody, yes, okay, wealth of the world. If I was to quickly dig into that after reading a few books, the wealth is, as far as pounds and pence is concerned, it's just typed into a computer. It's just. Are we talking about distribution of the fiat currency, distribution of the vehicle in order to acquire stuff? or are we actually talking about wealth? Because if we're talking about wealth, that's measured in different metrics. I mean, and for myself, yeah, you said yesterday as well, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And if the idea is that socialism is the way forward, I'd rather not. You know, if somebody was to make a bigger and better business than mine down the road and puts me out of business, that's my fault. Everything stops with me. The buck stops with me. If I don't create the wealth that I want, or I'm going to complain that somebody has more wealth than me, that's my fault. It's not anybody else's fault, even if I had a disadvantage. So just to put it into a kind of a format. So I suffer with asthma. Do you think I'm complaining when somebody beats me in a sport? No. Now I've got some extra problems to solve in order to compete with said person. You know, the buck stops with me. There's no other story there. There's no other, you know, you've got the same decisions, you've got the same time and every day to make your decisions. If you don't want to educate yourself, that's your fault. You know, the family's gonna tear you down when you make progress, because like you said with your crab analogy, it's the same crap. Like, they will drag you down to their level constantly. You will lose your friends. You will lose some of your family, unfortunately. And the people who are around you are the ones who should be supporting you on your move forward into that direction. But ultimately, you make the decisions. No one else is going to make it for you. That's all about.
Yeah.
Can I just?
I completely agree.
Can I just add on to that, Aaron? When you say you are responsible, I hear what you're saying. However, there are people in your life that cause mental distress, and sometimes you don't even know about it. You know, I'll be open. I was quite successful. I didn't even know I was being bullied by my husband. I was actually classed as a victim of abuse. It's taken me time to come to terms that I was a victim. Now, when my life was starting to spiral out of control, I still couldn't admit that I was a victim. But now that I've had some therapy, it wasn't my fault. You know, it was somebody has taken, basically, it's the same as somebody stabbed me. They've made me disabled in a way. You know, so if somebody's leg got chopped off by an axeman, is that the person's fault that's got the leg chopped off? No, it's the axeman's, right? So if I've been chopped off mentally or emotionally, it's not my fault.
What were you going to say, Aaron?
Sorry, I just wanted to contest that point.
Yeah.
I'll clarify one thing. It's one thing to say that I'm saying it's your fault that something else externally has happened to you. It's another thing to say that it's your fault how you react to the environment around you or the situation you're in, right? At no point did I say it's your fault for your external factors. What I'm saying is it's your fault as to how you deal with it. It's up to you.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't even know that I had.
If you've had your leg chopped off, or you've been abused, or whatever it is that you have, whatever damage that leaves you with the same 24 hours in the day as the next person who's had the same problems.
Yeah, but I didn't even know I was being abused. It was quite significant.
Okay. That's I'm not trying to diminish. I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying. Yeah. So I from how I understand it, we're in agreement in the fact that you have now made your choices in order to better yourself from that point on, right? Is that what?
It took time.
Then yeah.
And I'm saying
you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think I'm coming out of it now, but it's still a long journey ahead of me. I'm not going to fool myself, you know. But I will say
that's what I wanted to clear. That's all.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't. When it comes to mental abuse, you don't even know it's happening, and your body and your brain hacks you to think life is okay for you to survive. You know.
Well,
so that's all.
Well, again, I sort of disagree a little bit. It's how you react to things that make the difference. So I've been in situations where I have suffered mental abuse and all sorts of different abuse. Like there's a lot to my past that a lot of you don't know, which I keep very quiet. And I've personally gone through shit, and I've had horrendous family issues. You like the stuff that goes on in my family. You if it was in EastEnders, you think this is a bit far-fetched, but it's reality. So, and the thing is, and Ellie, my wife, always says, probably every now and then, it's like, I'm surprised you are you, considering where you've come from, and some of the stuff that has happened in my family, etc. Now, the reason I guess I'm an oddity compared to some of my other family is because of the way I think and the way I've reacted to stuff. So the only power I have in a situation where I've been put in, awkward situations or bad situations is I have the power to choose how I think. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, Arvin, what I'm about to say, I'm not saying that you have then become the victim mentality, etc. I'm broad brushing here. Because I'm just trying to think back to those dark times. I was thinking I could have very easily slipped into, woe is me, I'm in a shit situation, I'm broke, everything's going to pot, this is game over. And a lot of people would then, resort to cigarettes and booze, and then you end up in a downward spiral. But thankfully, and honestly, I owe nearly all of my original self-help thinking to Jim Rohn. Like, if you've never, oh man, the most game-changing book I've ever listened to in my life is The Art of Exceptional Thinking by Jim Rohn. Oh man, I'm getting emotional just remembering it. In fact, I'm going to listen to that again. It's on YouTube. Just type in Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N, The Art of Exceptional Thinking. And that carved the way I think and thought. And so I chose to remove myself from the situation. This is why I always have that third person perspective of everything. So I always imagine I'm an alien. This is weird. I always imagine I'm an alien in every new scenario. And I then go, right, what's happening here? This person is bad. This person is doing bad things. This person is affecting you. What is the most logical thing to do right now? The most logical thing to do is remove yourself from this situation. Okay. Now that could be breaking up from a relationship. It could be moving house, moving city, just completely removing yourself from that situation. So I'm not saying you are a victim, Arvina. I'm not saying you gave up and suffered victim mentality. But to begin with, I agree, it's very hard to identify that you are a victim, especially if the abuse you're getting is subtle and insidious and over time and progresses over time. It's a bit like being boiled a lot, what was that saying, boiling a frog in a kettle or something like that, in a pan, it doesn't know it's being boiled alive, something like that. And that happens in everything, whether it's money decisions, because bad decisions compound as well, don't forget. You don't know it, but it does compound. And the things you do now, you don't see the results until a few years down the line. So I think that's my point. It's how you react and act about things that really matters. And so this is why I've got a no negativity rule in my life. Like anyone that's negative, I'll just ban. Bye-bye. Or anything that is negative, I'll just get away from it. So
the world is negative.
Sorry, just to
you never leave the world. The world is negative.
It is, but there's lots of good in the world. Sorry, Ray, go for it.
No, I was just going to say what you mentioned there. When I was 18, my family got divorced. Well, my mom and dad got divorced, stepdad. And I was faced with a choice. I had two younger brothers. And it was either a choice of, I can feel sorry for myself here because I've just finished school. I can't go to uni. I can't do this, can't do that. Or look after the family. And I had to make a decision for the family. And I think that, although I've listened to Jim Rohn since, I think what you say there, the decisions that you make is what then takes you forward. Sitting there feeling sorry for yourself is not going to change anything.
Agreed.
And that's carried me through life. And like you say, the third person thing, I tend to find that a lot, that I'm in conversations or situations, and I'm sat there going, what are you people on about? You need to take a different point of view with this. And it saved me a lot of issues and heartache and things through life because I take a step back and try and look at the situation as if I'm not involved in it. And that then helps a lot. And like you say, when you then do that, you end up in a position where you can't feel sorry for yourself. There's no point in just sitting there. So you get on and you do things. And invariably that then accumulates and makes things better for you. And I mean, I came to the UK in 2004 and I had $2,000 to my name. That was it. I've got a very good job. I've got a very nice house, and I'm doing all sorts of other things that make me a lot happier. So when people say to me that you were privileged or you were this or you were that, well, my whole life started over when I was 18. My whole life started over when I was 24. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. And somebody very clever once said, if there's somebody that's in a worse situation than you that has made it, there's no excuse for you to not make it. And that's just always stuck with me as well.
Yeah. And I agree. And there's a previous comment, I think Rachel, she's had to go. She said, the point is, oh no, where is it? Yes, being a victim and having victim mentality are two different things. One is okay. Yeah, sometimes you can't help but being a victim. As I said, like if I was walking down the street and someone came and chopped my leg off, yeah, I mean, that's shit. But then how I react to being legless or one, whatever it's called, an amputee, whatever, how I move on from there is critical. That's the key thing. But this is where I'm also in agreement with extreme accountability. This is something they teach you in the Air Force. In fact, they're really anal about this in the military. Extreme accountability. Everything is your fault. Every single thing is your fault. So let's say, I was walking down the street, minding my own business, going to the bank or whatever, and I don't know, some random thugs come in and beat me up, right? Well, yes, I'm a victim there. And yeah, if I had some issues from, problems after that, medical problems, yeah, I'll have to think about it. But when you look at extreme accountability, could I have checked, I would then analyze my thinking process. I was thinking, right, was this really the best time of the day? Was I walking down the right road, etc.? Like I got mugged big time in Uxbridge once. I used to work in the Ministry of Defence in Whitehall. And I lived in RAF Uxbridge. I had to commute into Zone 1 every day. It was I hated it. Bloody 95 minutes of commuting every single day. Oh, no, there, and then 95 minutes back. It's 3 hours a day of just commuting. Anyway, if anyone knows Uxbridge, it's dodgy as hell. And there's the Uxbridge underpass. And I got mugged at knife point by seven blokes. Yeah, it was horrendous. But now, when I look back at that, it was my own damn silliness. Like, what am I doing walking down through the Uxbridge underpass in winter at like 8 p.m. when it's dark and no one is around? What an idiot. That's all my fault. That is all my fault. What am I expecting? Because I was wearing a suit, had a big old long overcoat, and I had a briefcase. Like, surely that is a prime example of someone that you do want to mug. Like, yeah, so although it is a traumatic experience, I'm the idiot for walking down there late at night on my own and didn't have self-protection. Like, yeah. So sometimes you are, just got to reset the level, do it again, and you learn. So yeah, sometimes I've been in bad relationships as well. Like when I was 18, the love of my life, I was with her for a few years. Turns out she was like the bloody town bicycle. She had cheated on me with like 10 blokes. And guess what I did? I kept saying, I didn't like, I kept saying, oh, I forgive you. And then, a month later, same old thing happened again. I was like, Jesus. In hindsight, I'm surprised I don't have any STIs after her. But I didn't think back then. I wasn't a good thinker. I didn't listen to Jim. I didn't know of Jim Rohn back then. But now, if that happened again, it would be a different thing. I'd have to obviously look at the way out the circumstances. But yeah, I wouldn't have rolled over and taken that shit for, like I did. But this is why stuff like this is good. This is why self-development books are good. I know a lot of people, the whole self-world thing is sort of shifting. It's now everyone's like, oh, you're bloody reading a self-help book is like no doubt a scam or whatever. But there are, even if, yeah, I'm just gonna shut up now. Jim Rohn, The Art of Exceptional Thinking, best book on that ever. Let's look at the chats. Anyone else want to open up the mic?
I think I'll give it another go, Simon. How's it going?
Yeah, hey Tom. Does
so
your
I think
shirt say MVP?
no, just MP.
MP. Okay.
Yeah, my protein. To kind of, I guess, bring together some of what I've just heard, both you and some of the other guys take. I think the takeaway I have from it is everything comes down to perception, and it's everyone has got their own perception on life based on their experiences. So, like, if we go back to the original subject of this, which is like thoughts on billionaires, a lot of it will come down to, oh, I can't believe, use the example, Jeff Bezos just spent all those billions on a super yacht, which then has its own yacht to man or whatever. To us, that seems absolutely mental.
Yeah.
But if you actually put yourself in a billionaire's shoes, and there's actually a very interesting program called Money Explained, I think, on Netflix at the moment, that gives you some of these examples about being rich and the relative terms, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And the example they give you is, to a billionaire, taking a private jet's flight is no different to you or I taking a £2 taxi ride.
Agreed. Yeah, everything is relative in percentage terms.
So the problem you then have with that is then, so the people that will have an inherent problem with success is it mingles in with that victimhood mentality, because we as humans are so quick to go to that victimhood mentality, and it's actually in our nature. It's easy to perceive that whilst we might tell ourselves we've done the best we can in life or we've had these problems, it's therefore not right for someone to own a Ferrari, or it's not right for someone to have a better house than us because, oh, we've had it hard done by, why can't they? We're the victim, the system's broken. Whereas if you change that perception to, actually, if we use an example of whether I've got mental health difficulties, if I'm missing a limb, the very capitalism that's allowed those people to become so successful gives you, with whatever issue you've got, the same potential to become as successful as they are. So whether it's you're a victim of, let's say, domestic abuse, in this capitalist world, you could become renowned for being the best speaker on how to overcome mental health problems from domestic abuse. If you've got a limb cut off, with the right mentality and the right perspective on things, you could turn that into, this is how I became, a marathon runner with only one leg.
Yeah.
So it's about people's perceptions of the opportunities we actually have in capitalist countries. Yeah. That they have that the kind of wrong way when they go into that victimhood mentality of why someone shouldn't be as successful or have the potential wealth they have.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree, mate. Singing to the choir, preaching to the choir. Yeah, I agree. I think we've read a lot of the same stuff, haven't we?
Probably, yeah.
It's Paul Waits on Facebook. The author is Jim Rohn. It's The Art of Exceptional Thinking. Just find it on YouTube. There's going to be loads of recordings. It's probably on Spotify or something as well. What I was going to say, there's damn it. Oh yeah, Craig. So this is slightly a side topic, but it's a good point. Craig on YouTube said, the issue is when you're trying to make it rich from a low place, you end up losing to scam artists on the way there. Again, I'm sorry if you have got hurt. The problem here is not that you're trying to make it from a low place. It's the lack of knowledge. It's the lack of knowledge that has allowed you to get caught up in that scam. Now, some scams are more sophisticated than others. I mean, I've been caught up in probably I've been scammed 3 or 4 times. Sometimes it's the bigger the scam it is, the harder it is to realize. Just Google Theranos. It's like one of the biggest medical scams out there ever. But a good example is Cash FX. Now, it's almost a cult, those, and I will say idiots that are doing Cash FX. It's the biggest trading Ponzi scheme out there at the moment. It's no different to OneCoin. back in 2017, you know, all these Ponzi schemes. And what I'm seeing, an explosion in the amount of cash FX people, because they're going, oh yeah, I've put my money in, I'm making 24% a day or 20, something ridiculous like that. And the reason they're being caught up is, one, they don't understand the markets, they don't understand trading, and they don't understand Ponzi schemes. And that, yeah. Now, as I said, if you a lot of your problems, a lot of everyone's problems, is simply a knowledge deficiency, knowledge or a skill deficiency. But we have access to YouTube, no excuses. Yeah, and Bead Connect, Ray. It's so true. And I tried talking to these people that are doing cash FX, and the fact, yeah, and I'm just trying to help them, saying, look, you're involved in a scam. And the way that they react is just very interesting, because what happens is their heckles go up, they go all defensive, and then they go aggressive on you. When in fact, the way you should react, like if someone said, hey, Simon, I see what you're doing here with your business or this thing, whatever. Did you know that this is a scam? My instant reaction won't be, I hate you, you're an idiot, you're blah, blah, and I attack that person. The first thing I would do is open my freaking mind and go, well, wait a minute. If this is a scam, I want to freaking know about this fast. So I'll then open up my ears and freaking listen to the data and treat it as data from one data source. I would then interrogate that data. And I would actually spend the time of the day to go, okay, am I being an idiot by doing whatever I'm doing? And if that person's correct, I'll praise that person. I'll thank that person. I won't attack the person. But yeah, anyway. So, but yeah, sometimes it is hard. I mean, the cleverest people in the world got scammed by Theranos. The cleverest people in the world in finance got scammed by Bernie Madoff. Sometimes it's the massive scams that are harder. And then you can take this one other way and like, I was going to say something really controversial there. I won't, because then half of the audience will then bugger off. So no. So Johnny said, big con artist nearly purchased Notts County Football Club, sucked in loads of professionals here in Jersey. Blimey. Yeah. So that's it. I can see a whole bunch of crypto questions. No crypto today. All I'm going to say, this is a beautiful, beautiful buying opportunity. Don't waste it. That's all I'm going to say. If it helps, I put in another £60,000 into crypto today. So this is a buying opportunity immensely. Right. I have seen the prices in the last hour, mate. I've got TradingView on my left-hand screen. So it's great. It's a great buying opportunity. So yeah, don't worry. I've always got TradingView up. Right. So anyone else want to raise a point? No, everyone's gone quiet. So okay, I'll read out Dread. Oh no, sorry. Can you all hear me? I feel like I'm talking to myself here at the moment.
Yeah, can you?
Oh no, yeah, cool. Anyone have any more thoughts on billionaires, millionaires, etc., etc., and money? And remember, this whole topic came up was stemmed from from me making that art piece the other day on Sunday. Yeah, I find it hilarious. So, but yeah.
Can I add my 5 cents into the equal distribution thing?
Go for it.
Right. So, I've shared my story before. So I was born in Soviet Union. So whatever you said from the book, I've seen it live. Right. So I didn't know it so close because I was young, but pretty much queues for getting products and getting, shoes, some Bulgarian shoes, or I don't know, Czech sandals. It was a massive gain. And getting bread or meat, you get bread in one shop and you get meat from another shop and you got coupons for that. So I remember that being a kid.
Yeah.
And what is even distribution, has the even distribution created in the Soviet Union when everybody gets equal? So we know that some people are bastards. So some people are really workaholic and they like working. So guess what? If you work hard and you get paid the same as the, evil bastards or lazy bastard. So what's the point of working? So people started stealing, people started drinking. And so that problem became so big that if we say, for example, take Ukraine. Ukraine is one of the richest area in Europe. If we plant seeds only in Ukraine and stop producing any products, any food all across Europe, Ukraine alone will be enough to supply food throughout the entire Europe. But they literally killed everything. The land is so rich because my father is from there. So my grandma, you put a stick in the land and it grows and it produces so much food. But that equal distribution, it basically killed it. What's going on in Ukraine right now? It's war. Why are you people fighting? With whom? With Russians? I mean, you used to be friends all the time, and now you're fighting. No, I mean, it has to be like whatever you earn, you get whatever you earn. I came here with 2 suitcases and nothing else, and I was really, everything in this country is strange to me. I mean, I'm trying to listen to you guys, and you have to understand me. Whatever I'm saying, it might be a little bit different, whatever you're thinking about, right? But I think that you deserve what you're doing, and you deserve what you're planning. I decided in my life, okay, I'm going to change my family. I'm going to change my life. So during the past 5 years, I acquired a new vehicle. I've bought a house. I've built up a new business. Everything goes really well because I wanted to do it. Yeah, there's other things that were going on. But remember, if you came out with just 2 suitcases as zero, nothing, with very, very limited English and with nothing, it's really hard to start over. And I'm going back 8 years ago and coming back right now. Yeah, I'm not disabled. I understand, there's some disability problems with people. But the way this country treats disabled people is nothing compared to whatever Eastern Europe, and other poor countries. Disabled people in this country is on the best path. And sometimes I've been thinking, they're lucky to be disabled because the government is supporting them all the way. Unfortunately, not all the countries they can see that. So that's my 5 cents.
Awesome. Thank you. And Joanna on Facebook also said, I remember them queues in Poland in the early 80s. Communism looks only great on paper. Yeah, agreed. And this is why I'm a big fan of UBI, because a proper universal basic income in a proper capitalistic world is actually good, I believe, because then you still have the positive net multipliers of a capitalistic sort of ecosystem, but then everyone also has their basic wages covered. I mean, the furlough system in the UK right now is version 1 of UBI. I mean, we've had thousands, hundreds of, if not millions of people that have been sat on their ass being paid to sit on their ass. I've got members of staff that have been on furlough for over a year now, and they've done nothing. Some of them have actually done, in fact, it's interesting. And so this is another thing. I've got some good optics here. I've got a whole bunch of stuff, like across the group, we've probably got about 40 staff on furlough, which is, is quite a large amount, I think. And obviously I stay in touch with some, and there's some people that have been on furlough, between 9 to 12 months now. Some have gone out and, got a side job as well. So they're getting their furlough, they're 100% furlough or 80%, depending who they are. And then instead of just sitting around watching Netflix all day, every day, they've gone out and got a job at Tesco to do shelf stacking or stuff like that. And that's great. Or some of them even started setting up a side hustle business, which is exactly what the WAP is all about. Whereas some people, they've sat on their ass and done nothing. And I'm just dumbfounded at how, someone can be on furlough, 80% or 100% salary or whatever, and they do nothing over a 9-month period or a year period. And I'm like, so what have you been doing with your time? Not much, bit of gardening, I'm like, man, so what are you going to do if all, and so these people that don't get off their ass, when let's say the inevitable happens and the furlough ends and they're now jobless, you're then screwed. You got no lifeline. So if you are on furlough, if you're one of the fortunate people that are on furlough and getting 80 or 100% of your salary, don't freaking waste this time. You've been given a safety net. Basically, you're being paid to have time to set up a side hustle. It's like, God damn it. I mean, if I was furloughed back, 10 years ago when I was broke, I'd lap this up. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, Tom, I have seen the UBI, the trialing in Wales. It's just an inevitability. But in order for proper UBI to roll out, they'll have to release the central bank CBDC at the moment first, the central bank digital currency, Britcoin, which will probably be the worst coin ever. But Sam said, I'm on furlough and I'm learning to trade with Sam. Epic. Nice one, Sam. Dread didn't qualify for furlough as a contractor. Luckily found RT community. Awesome. But did you not get the grants? If you're some contractors were eligible for some of the grants, maybe. If the self-employment stuff, I don't know if you had that. Tom said, with your comments on hyperinflation, does UBI accelerate this? To a degree. So UBI is an interesting thing. So what will happen? And when you study hyperinflation, it's fascinating how it happens, because and the same set of events always happen, regardless of how, like, you would have thought economists and bankers look at history and go, oh, okay, so this is what happened. Let's not do that, because this is what happened. Bad things happen when this happens, but they always do the same thing. And so what tends to happen with, let's say with UBI, if you do get a UBI, in broad brush based on history, people hoard it. People take the money, they'll hoard it, they'll put it under the mattress, they'll save it, because they've been slapped. We've all been slapped around the face over the last couple of years, and we're like, oh, okay, I need a rainy day fund. So they'll save. And so the policymakers up top go, wait a minute, we're pumping all of this liquidity into the market. No one's spending. Economic productivity is still dropping. MV, so money velocity, is still dropping. Why is the money, like we're literally giving people money here? Why is no one spending? Everyone's going, cool, rainy day fund, save. And so what do policymakers do? They go, oh shit, okay, we need to increase it. So this is where the term helicopter money comes in. And they really start chucking out money into the economy, to, not in QE where it goes to the banks and the stock market, as into us. And then what happens is even more saving. People are, oh wow, okay, I've got even more saving. And then that happens a few times, to the point where after a year or two, everyone feels comfy. Everyone feels that they've got this, this nest egg, this rainy day fund that they've saved up. And then at a certain point, it tips over and go, actually, I've now got my rainy day fund sorted out. I've got 6 months worth of outgoings covered. I'm now going to start spending again. But here's the thing, little do they know, or most people don't realize, if we ever get into the situation and the currency is being diluted faster than you think. I mean, if they're printing trillions and trillions to do UBI or whatever, the value of your rainy day fund is not going to buy you as much. So when we have this floodgate and everyone starts feeling comfy, mother trucker, that's another delivery. Every live session, there's a freaking delivery. I haven't got anything important I'm waiting for, so hopefully they just dump it on the doorstep. But yeah, so what then happens is you have this triggering where everyone feels comfy and they all en masse start spending. That's where price inflation kicks in. That's where price inflation then kicks in. And then it's a case of the government goes, oh my god, let's rise interest rates. Shit, that's not working. And then before you know it, you're in big inflation or hyperinflation. Just look at the Weimar Republic. It's just that's a great hyperinflation example. So, right, I think. Oh God, yeah. I sound like a man of leisure at the moment, but I have another golf appointment at 1:30, which I need to run to. So, yeah, I will. Let's call it an hour. Thanks everyone who contributed today. There's quite a lot of us actually, 60, 74 of us in total across the board. Nice. Hope today's helped and all the comments. Everyone, thank you for sharing your thoughts. It's it's great whether people agreed with your opinion or not. That's great. What I love is debate without emotion. The moment people start getting emotional in debates, I switch off. Is unproductive. So thank you for everyone who was sharing their thoughts and didn't get emotional. More of this. Maybe, if I dare, we talk about something controversial and just have the no emotions rule. It'd be great to talk about something really